you know about your defense now that you didn't know maybe 6 weeks ago?
I think we have a pretty good handle on our personnel right now in terms of strengths and weaknesses of guys individually, and then I think us as a unit too. It's been a really good spring. We've had quite a bit of reps out there, practice, 4-hour practices, and so I think the main thing I've figured out about our defense is that they're willing to work. Those guys, they've competed well every day we've been out there, and they've really put the time in.
You said you kind of have a feel for their strengths and weaknesses. Would you say what their strengths are right now?
No, not necessarily more than that. I really, like I just said there, I think our group is really willing to work. They've been great in terms of learning our scheme throughout the spring. They come to meetings prepared, they come to practice prepared, and I think anytime you got a hungry group that way, I think that there's good things ahead.
When you came out here about a month or so ago, you said you wanted to throw as much at them as you could and sort of whittle it down a little bit. Have you started to figure out what's going to work and what's not going?
Yeah, we got a pretty good idea of that, and even the past, starting on Saturday and then today's practice, we've started to move that way and just narrow it down for them and kind of hone in on some of the things we'll be doing more of, and they've really responded to that well too. We probably got to a point there later in spring where it was becoming overload for them, which was good. I mean, we pushed them that limit, and then I think they saw as we scaled back how they performed, and a credit to them. They've grasped everything we've thrown at them.
You said everyone had a clean slate. Who are the impact players? Would you say a couple of them?
Yeah, I think to name just a few guys, there's a lot of guys that have really made strides throughout the spring. I mean, there's some guys we just pointed out the other day on film that you look at from day one of spring till now. They made huge strides. I mean, Lawrence Marshall's a guy to me that he's a young guy, he's a freshman. In first 2 practices, it didn't look like he could barely line up, and now, I mean, he's out there, he's playing really well for us. We expect him to help us, but there's a lot of guys, and there's a whole group of guys that are veterans that have played a lot of football around here that have made those improvements as well. So I just think they're pushing each other really well, and like I said, they've had the right mindset every day, whether it's meetings or practice, to come to get better.
You guys lost both ends. Who are the probably the head of the defensive ends at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we've had several guys playing there, and I mean, Wormley's playing some end. Like I just mentioned, Lawrence, Royce Jenkins-Stone is playing some end. We've even moved Mo Hurst out there a little bit to play some end. So we've done a combination of a lot of things. I think one of the bonuses to what we do schematically is the concepts carry over and fit, and so we're moving guys in different spots. So when those things do arise, you have injuries, you get nicked up. That's part of football. We have some guys we can put in different places.
Your depth chart. I mean, do you have a sense now, maybe penciled in depth chart defensively going into this final game, but coming out of it?
Yeah. I mean, we have a much better sense right now than a month or two ago. But still, it's not because there were some guys that missed a lot of spring with injuries and that sort of thing, and so we'll kind of redo that. It'll give us a good starting ground for when we get to fall camp, and we'll re-go through it in camp. And I think one of the best things at practice is to keep it competitive and have guys knowing they either got to keep their job at practice or they can go get someone else's. And so we try and keep it competitive that way. And we move the depth chart a bunch throughout spring.
You're also a linebackers coach. Who has impressed you at that position?
Yeah, I mean, I like that group. I like our work ethic we're all about. I think, Joe Bolden, who's played a lot of football here, he's had a really good spring. I like his toughness, his leadership. I think he's a guy that other guys look to, and Des Morgan's the same way. I mean, those two guys are pretty much the same type of guy there for us. And then, I think, those guys have made great strides. I mean, James Ross has had a great spring. I think he can play both inside and outside for us. He has shown some versatility. And so those guys all being older guys for us, we're dependent on them for leadership. They've really stepped up through the spring.
I know you don't go in with preconceived notions, but did they grasp it a little faster than you thought, or was it about handling all the stuff?
Yeah, I think they did a really good job with, like I said, I liked how our guys prepared for meetings. They came ready to learn football at our meetings, and they carried it over well to the next day when we had walkthroughs in practice. I mean, there wasn't, a large amount of missed assignments and that sort of thing in practice. I mean, they did really well that way.
Spring winds down. Are there a list of things that you didn't get to this spring, or that they're high on the checklist for the offseason, these things we need to improve?
Really, I mean, obviously there were some guys that were injured that we didn't get. I would like to get more of a look at through spring that we weren't able to, but that's uncontrollable. I think, situationally in terms of installing the defense, we checked all the boxes that what we set out to do going into spring. And, we were able to do that.
You said you'd run multiple fronts, and there was a lot of talk about some of the defenses that you are going to employ. How did you think your guys adapted? Because they were mostly a 4-3 defense a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, our guys, they responded well to it. I mean, I think they enjoyed learning some different fronts, different coverages, different things defensively. I mean, I think anytime you're, a guy that loves the game, a student of the game, you want to be, kind of challenged that way to learn more. That's what it's all about. And so, as coaches, we learn more every day from our guys, and as we talk and learn more about them, and I think they took the same approach. I mean, that was a challenge for them. I think they did it.
A number of coaches and players have come through here in the last couple of weeks and mentioned Peppers and how much he's adapted and how. Are you kind of surprised as a freshman that he's been able to pick up? Essentially, he only played 3 games last year.
No, he's a guy that loves football. He's an intelligent. He's intelligent off the field. He's very intelligent on the field as well. So I'm not surprised at all. He works really hard at it. That's a guy that he's got great attitude every day he comes here, and so it shows with how he plays.
Would you trust a young player like that to be one of the leaders back there, even though he has
absolutely.
game experience?
Yeah, freshman, true freshman, that doesn't matter to me. The guy's either ready or he's not. And that's been my experience and my track record. We played a lot of young guys.
Was he your most consistent performer in practice?
It's hard to label most because he was a consistent performer for us. He had a really good spring. He's having a really good spring. Got 2 more practices left, and I think he's a guy that guys can really look to as a leader because by example. He's vocal, but he leads by example. He brings it every day.
Vocal how? I mean, what's he? Is he talking
communicating
up
on the field?
I mean, but is he talking up the player? Is he getting on their cases?
Communication on the field. Mm-hmm. Communication for our defense is really critical. We have to have guys that are talking and getting other guys lined up with what we do, and especially at the safety and the inside linebacker position. And we've moved him to several different spots, but he's vocal wherever he's at.